Welcome to Red's Room Podcast. I'm your host, Red,
And I'm Jake.
and today we are talking about Operation Northwoods. As always, our references are in the episode description. So, Operation Northwoods. On 18th November 1997, by the John F. Kennedy Assassination Records Review Board, a U.S. federal agency that oversaw the release of government records made public that related to John F. Kennedy's assassination. A total of 1,521 pages of once secret military recordings covering 1962 to 1964 were, I have no idea what that word is, but they were declassified by that review board. Among those declassified documents were the main Operation Northwoods proposal in a document titled Justification for U.S. Military Intervention in Cuba, a top-secret collection of draft memoranda written by the Department of Defense and the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
Yeah, so this is like planting the seed. We're getting like JFK's assassination, big deal. A bunch of other stuff comes out of it, basically.
Yeah. So basically, the only reason we know about this is because it was declassified while they were investigating JFK's assassination.
Pretty good setup. Bunch of weird stuff going on.
Right. We are already deep in the conspiracies on JFK, but this is all true stuff.
Yeah. And we're going to stay more in line with Northwoods, but the JFK stuff definitely seems to play a part, at least to me.
Oh, yeah, majorly. Let's continue on a little more. So, Operation Northwoods was a proposed false flag operation that originated within the U.S. Department of Defense of the U.S. government in 1962. The proposal called for CIA operatives to both stage and commit acts of terrorism against American military and civilian targets. I'm going to read that one more time. The proposal called for CIA operatives to both stage and commit acts of terrorism against American military and civilian targets, blaming them on the Cuban government and using it to justify a war against Cuba. The possibilities detailed in the documents included the remote control of civilian aircraft, which would be secretly repainted as U.S. Air Force plane and a fabricated shoot-down of a U.S. Air Force fighter aircraft off the coast of Cuba. The possible assassination of Cuban immigrants, sinking boats of Cuban refugees on the seas, blowing up a U.S. ship, and orchestrating terrorism in U.S. cities. The proposals were rejected by President John F. Kennedy.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot to unpack here.
Yeah.
Bunch of crazy stuff. They definitely do word it, like Wiki words it 100%, where it's not just stage. There was definitely plans to commit full-on acts of terrorism, not just like this false flag. Like they were putting everything into it.
Yeah, the CIA was going to hurt our own military, attack our own military, and attack They were going to shoot down a civilian airline.
Yeah, and they just wanted to repaint the bitch.
Yeah, so we're going to kill our own people.
Yeah.
To start a war with Cuba.
Yeah. We needed a reason. You know, a lot of people. I think this has a lot of parallels, almost like with Afghanistan and a bunch of those kind of conflicts, where like we needed a way to get in, and I guess this was their idea of how do we start this with us having, we need reason why, and this is how they wanted to do it, I guess.
Yeah, a false flag would give them complete justification to start a war. And they would get, all the backing of the U.S. people, because they'd be like, oh, they shot down one of our airlines and they attacked our military. We got to go after them.
Yeah, not only that, and staging or even committing the terrorism acts in our cities. I saw there was a few different city examples of, I guess it doesn't fully delve into what the hell they were going to do, but we were going to mess with our own people.
Yeah, this is why I give some credence, I think, to people who doubt or have conspiratorial ideas about 9/11, because we've literally planned things like that. Like,
Yeah.
right now, this is proof that they plan to do this.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they were totally about it. And if it wasn't for one of the greats, JFK, to shoot this shit down, who knows what would have happened.
Right. It makes you wonder what else they plan that we have that never gets declassified. I'm going to continue on a little more. Let's go a little deeper. So, Fidel Castro had taken power in Cuba in 1959 and began allowing communists into the new Cuban government, nationalizing U.S. businesses and improving relations with the Soviet Union, arousing the concerns of the U.S. military due to the Cold War. The operation proposed creating public support for a war against Cuba by blaming the Cuban government for terrorist acts that would be
Perpetrated.
Perpetrated by the U.S. government. To this end, Operation Northwoods proposals recommended hijackings and bombings, followed by the introduction of false evidence that would implicate the Cuban government. It stated, quote, "The desired result from the execution of this plan would be to place the U.S. in the apparent position of suffering defensible grievances from a rash and irresponsible government of Cuba and to develop an international image of a Cuban threat to peace in the Western Hemisphere." End quote. Several other proposals were included within Operation Northwoods, including real or simulated actions against various U.S. military and civilian targets. The operation recommended developing a communist Cuban terror campaign in the Miami area, in other Florida cities, and even in Washington, which involved the bombing of civilian targets, which was to be blamed on the Cuban government to paint a false image of Fidel Castro and misinform the American public.
Yeah. Like, that marks every box. We got Fidel, final boss. We got the Soviets getting involved. The Cold War is going on. Like, tension is high. Cuba's super close to us. They're rapidly communizing. Like, the U.S. is shaking in their boots. They want to do something about this. And
yeah, this is the total classic example of what is wrong with the military-industrial complex. That they will kill their own people just to perpetuate war.
Yeah, and we were talking about earlier some of our cities. They were saying certain parts of Florida, Washington, like shit was gonna go down on our soil. It's pretty whack to think about.
We're pretty lucky that JFK stepped up and shut this down. Which
Yeah,
we'll talk about that a little more. Let me finish this last paragraph on this section. So, the plan was drafted by the Joint Chiefs of Staff, signed by Chairman Lemonser, and sent to the Secretary of Defense. Although part of the U.S. government's anti-communist Cuban project, Operation Northwoods was never officially accepted. It was authorized by the Joint Chiefs of Staff, but then rejected by President Kennedy. None of the false flag operations became active under the auspices of the Operation Northwoods proposals.
Yeah, so it got shot down. Who knows if anything came of it, but as far as I guess we know, nothing did come out of this.
Yeah.
Thankfully.
That's basic idea of the plan, but there was a related operation we're going to talk about here now called Operation Mongoose. So, in addition to Operation Northwoods, under Operation Mongoose program, the U.S. Department of Defense had a number of similar proposals for actions to be taken against the Cuban regime of Fidel Castro. Of these plans included multiple assassination attempts that all failed. Many assassination ideas were floated by the CIA during Operation Mongoose. The most infamous was the CIA's alleged plot to capitalize on Castro's well-known love of cigars by slipping into his supply a very real and lethal exploding cigar. Another attempt at Castro's life was by using a fountain pen loaded with poison black leaf number 40 that was passed to a Cuban asset in Paris the same day Kennedy was assassinated, November 22nd, 1963. Notably, the evidence also indicates that these two events occurred simultaneously in the same moment.
Dun, dun, dun.
To me, this is kind of like a cartoon.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to kill him with an exploding cigar or with a poisoned pen.
Yeah, I was going to say like a 007 movie. You know,
To me, it looks more like Looney Tunes.
Looney, you think it's that? Yeah, yeah. They really were pulling out the strings. The exploding cigar is probably my favorite.
That is
of the two.
comedy.
Dude, imagine he does spark up and then head just off. But, dude, I think this also gets into it. Like, Fidel was a freaking, like, he was a snake, dude. Like, he was not falling for anything. Like, he was, I don't know if he had, like, a really loyal people around him. I guess that's part of it. If he was just 200 IQ, but he didn't fall for any of this shit. Like,
no, and that was just 2 attempts. Did you know of some more attempts?
so this is where we get into like some of like the weirder ones. I found this super weird one. This was like the funniest one. There was like a rumored plan to try to get estrogen into Fidel's system. I don't know how, but I guess with the goal to quote unquote destroy his manly persona, like grow a pair of tits or like something weird.
Have his
But
hair all fall out.
yeah, like
have him start being like
yeah.
super emotional.
Yeah. You get, but dude, if that would be the one I would want to pull off. But you know, there was other ideas. Can we just airstrike the fucker? Like just drop a bomb on him? Obviously, you know that's too much. But like there was and I'm assuming there's more too. You know, if you dig deeper, more that never came out. Like,
I'm sure there's more even in the documents.
I guess another one I found too related to Mongoose was or I don't know if it was relating to Mongoose. I'm assuming it was to train one of his exes to poison or murder him too. Like I guess somehow get someone that's closer to the inside. Like you said earlier, they had Cuban assets. Like, and you know, just bunch of weird shit, man. They wanted the guy dead. Basically.
Yeah, that one sounds like a movie to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100% that one.
You train your disgruntled ex-lover,
dude,
to come kill you. Like I picture Kill Bill style with a katana for no reason.
I wonder. Yeah, I wonder if that almost connects into MK Ultra a little bit.
I mean, possibly.
Yeah.
Maybe they were gonna try to like mind control one of the exes to do what they want.
Yeah, I didn't find anything of that, but it just made me think.
It shows you just how incompetent they were. That they had all these crazy ideas and they tried implementing many of these ideas and none of them were successful. Like in the movies, you picture the CIA just having assassins that will just come in and just, you know, murder
like
someone. And yeah, but they couldn't touch the guy.
Now, this is where you kind of said before, like, are they this incompetent? Is this just what they want you to see?
Right. Did they let this get declassified, like just this part?
Yeah.
To make us think they're incompetent? I don't know. That's my own little mini conspiracy theory I have.
Yeah.
About declassified stuff we learn from the government. Just because I don't trust them.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like Delta Force was on this. Like, this seemed like some, like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was not SEAL Team 6.
No. This does not seem like SEAL Team 6 at all. But it's just something to think about.
Yeah. They had their special operator on this named Wile E. Coyote.
Dude, it's... Yeah, I'd like to see, like... Were they actually having meetings? Like, they're going back and forth, like, brainstorming, and there's, like, a guy at the end of the desk. He hasn't said anything in, like, 10 minutes, and he's like, dude, you know what the idea is? Estrogen. That's what we need to do. Like,
let's turn him into a chick.
Yeah. How much money would these guys make? I don't know.
Man, I don't know, but it's
probably too much. Probably making too much, but
making way too much for these terrible ideas.
Yeah.
It's like, why can't we just snipe them?
Yeah.
We can snipe from like a mile away. I don't know if they could snipe that far back then, but you would assume.
Dude, there was some badasses back then. There's legends about snipers back, like World War II era. This is after this. Like there was definitely some guys who could take them out. Like,
yeah,
But you know,
you're telling me that we have the CIA in there like stealing all kinds of coke.
Yeah.
Like that they don't have like guerrilla like allies over there to help him out. I don't know. It just seems weird.
Yeah, I guess it's like, does it make you think, like, is the CIA really that incompetent? Is Fidel really that smart? Is it kind of something in the middle? Like, I don't know.
I got one for you. Maybe they come up with all these terrible ideas to implement, just to like funnel more money out of the government to like keep paying for all this stuff.
Yeah.
They're like, oh yeah, we're gonna get them with this exploding cigar. To develop that's gonna cost about $2 million.
Yeah.
We're gonna need you to sign that check.
Yeah.
Kennedy, Mr. Kennedy.
It's like, so-and-so gets $1 million, so-and-so gets $1 million. We'll put $1 million into the project, but the rest of it gets passed around. Like,
right. Meanwhile, some guy is just like buying tons of expensive cigars for his house.
Yeah, just the most baller freaking.
I gotta try them all to know which one I want to explode. So
and like you were saying earlier, he's got a little container of booger sugar under his desk for sure.
Oh,
right?
no doubt.
Yeah, 100. Especially back then, dude, they were definitely coked up.
I like to picture them all coked up in these meetings.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Let's get to
Enough of that rant.
the final part of this conspiracy, and that is, did they kill Kennedy?
Mm-hmm.
So this started as Operation Northwoods, but to me it ties directly into, because he shut this down, was that the prime reason why he died?
Yeah.
So Kennedy rejected Northwood's proposal, a JCS/Pentagon document, a memo by Lansdale entitled Meeting with the President, 16th of March, 1962, reads, quote, General Lemitzer commented that the military had contingency plans for U.S. intervention. Also, it had plans for creating plausible pretexts to use force. With the pretext, either attacks on U.S. aircraft or a Cuban action in Latin America for which we could retaliate. The president said bluntly that we were not discussing the use of military force, that General Lemitzer might find the U.S. so engaged in Berlin or elsewhere that he couldn't use the contemplated 4 divisions in Cuba, end quote. The proposal was sent for approval to the Secretary of Defense. Robert McNamara was not implemented.
Yeah, I take that not only JFK, he didn't even just see it as like, this is just a ridiculous idea, but we have bigger fish to fry, dude. Like,
right.
You know.
This is why we love JFK.
Yeah, dude, the GOAT, JFK.
Yes. So, following presentation of the Northwoods plan, Kennedy removed Lemitzer as chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Good move.
Yes.
Although he later became Supreme Allied Commander of NATO in January 1963. U.S. military leaders began to perceive Kennedy as going soft on Cuba, and the president became increasingly unpopular with the military. A rift had already developed during Kennedy's disagreements with the service chiefs over the Cuban Missile Crisis in October 1962, and flared up again with his June 10, 1963 announcement of a unilateral U.S. test ban treaty. So, it makes you wonder, did the CIA take out Kennedy because he was throwing up brick walls for their crazy ideas?
Yeah, I almost think like the military was already getting, I guess they were already not super happy with Kennedy. It was building, and then this was like another thing, like, come on, like they were just not happy. Like, I don't know, man. I don't like.
Yeah, they're like, why won't you just let us do whatever we want and give us tons of money?
Yeah.
So we'll kill a few civilians.
Dude, we're
just gonna kill a few.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah. This whole thing with Lemnitzer too, it almost reminds me of like the fucking like Catholic pedophiles where they fuck up and they just move them. You know what I mean? Like Lemnitzer, like, you know, he ain't in the Joint Chiefs of Staff, but you know, he's at the top of NATO now.
Yeah,
like,
he'll do all right over there.
Yeah. Like you already know he was still making big bank over there. Like he didn't lose out on much.
No, he definitely didn't. He seems like the classic, like in the movies, you see the general that's just like, let's just bomb them.
Yeah.
And you're like, hold on, what about all the civilians? And he's like, oh, just think of how many will die if we don't. Yeah. We gotta murder everyone.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, man.
Dude, yeah. And it thinks it, and we just saw Oppenheimer recently too. It makes me
Yeah.
think of Truman. in that
Yeah,
movie.
same thing.
Yeah.
So just unempathetic, uncaring for the means. As long as the ends are correct, we don't care about the means.
Yeah, whatever. And I don't want the government to be coming over to my door in my house. Like, I don't know if this, like, nothing's confirmed. Like, I'm not saying this is for sure how it happened. I don't know who the fuck killed Kennedy.
Yes.
But it makes me think how you were saying earlier when you were reading through this, how, like, there was an idea where there was going to be an attempt on Fidel and Kennedy at the same time.
There was, yes, they were
Yeah.
trying to kill Fidel at the same time that Kennedy was assassinated.
Yeah.
Which we don't know if the CIA killed Kennedy, but if they did it at the exact same time they were trying to kill Fidel. Like, hypothetically, they tried to kill them both at the same time.
Yeah, shut them both up at the same time. Dude, I was kind of saying it earlier, like, Fidel just sounds like such a fucking beast, too. Like, I'm not saying I agree with the guy, he's a commie at the end of the day, but he did not give a fuck, it seemed like. Dude, like...
You don't get to that, communist power without being a tough guy.
Like, he's final boss, almost.
I'm
like,
sure he had many attempts on his life coming up.
Yeah.
So.
God, what a way of life, too. Dude, just living... Do you think he lived in fear, or do you think he just didn't give a shit?
I don't know. I picture just being like, you know what? I don't know. That's
because if it was me, I would be living in fear. I would be so paranoid, but
maybe you're so angry you're not scared.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like,
yeah, dude, he needed that estrogen. He really, the U.S. Maybe that wasn't a bad play.
I don't know, man. Well, I feel like, I don't want to go too far in it, but we will probably cover JFK assassination in another one.
Oh, 100%.
But I could not bring it up because it just seems like here's all the motivation.
Yeah, like, it's all there. Like, it's definitely easy to see, in my opinion.
Right. Like, he had that famous speech talking about secret societies.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, here you go. The CIA. Some people think he was talking about the Illuminati and the Masons and, like, reptilians. But to me, maybe he was just talking about the CIA.
And
seems more plausible to me.
It definitely, I think the CIA was definitely part of it. I think there was maybe some other stuff too, but I feel like the CIA, especially during this time, and even nowadays, like, it definitely adds up.
Right.
He's got to be talking about the CIA at least a little bit. Like,
yeah. I feel like later on we'll be referencing this too when we eventually talk about 9/11 because this to me makes it sound so plausible. Dude, that was a false flag to start the war.
Speaking of 9/11, the Northwoods document was published online in a mostly complete form by the National Security Archive on April 30th, 2001. Obviously, I don't think that entails in anything, but it's like, damn, same year.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I think we wrapped this one up pretty good. It was pretty cut and dry. I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Got anything else, Jake? Any final thoughts on this one?
Like, I think one thing I'd definitely say, like, at the end of other, like, more conspiratorial or conspiracy theory podcasts, like, I'll be like, what do you think? Other than the JFK stuff, the assassination, like, just the Operation Northwoods itself, like, there's no denying that, I mean, this is declassified evidence. Like, this shit happened. Like,
right.
So, like, if anyone tries to tell you Northwoods is bullshit, like, it's true. Like, this is real stuff, man. It makes you think, what else hasn't been declassified?
Yeah, how many things do we not know that our government has done?
Yeah.
Like aliens.
Yeah. I appreciate y'all listening if you made it this far. A little shorty. I think we got everything we needed to get into this one.
Definitely. All right, thanks for listening. It's been good.
See ya.